Welcome! In this video we will look at giving our computer a voice, or voices, with the PowerBasic Windows Compiler. In today's video we're going to give our computer a voice using the Speech API from Windows. What we need first of all is a dialog. So we launch PB Forms and we're going to create a brand new dialog. And we'll center our dialog on screen. And we might as well give it a minimize box. So what do we want on a dialog? Well, what we want to do in this particular program is to test the Windows API for speech. So we'll want a box into which we can actually key some text that we want the computer to actually speak. So we'll go for a text box. And we'll want a button to initiate the speaking and a button to exit. And we'll call this one speak. And go for the OK button. Right, okay, so we'll blank out the text in here. And we'll call it speak. Right, I'll add some more buttons later to do other features, but this will do us for the moment. We just save that. And we'll save this one. What should we call this one? Speech dialog. There we go, we have a speech dialog. And I'll just load that up. And here's a code. Right, first thing to do is to go to the event handler, and we'll give us ourselves a way of actually getting out of the program. So when I click on the exit button, it closes the dialog. So if we test that now, there's a dialog and we can exit. So quite clean. Right, now, since we're going to be using a speech module, I think we'll create that as a library module. So we'll create a nice empty library module. And we'll save that into our libraries and we'll call it speech. We'll call it Speech API, why not? Right, okay. And we're going to include that in with our code. Right at the top, after all the other includes. Unclude, that's a good one. There we go, save that, quick compile, and it's happy. Right, now, what we'll want to do is we will want to actually go into our event handler of the dialog, and in here we're actually going to call the routine that's going to do the work. So the first thing to do in here is that on our dialog we have a text box, this one here. We want to pick up the value that's in that text box, and if there's something in there we can get the machine to speak. So what I do is to pick up the value within that text box. Now we're going to be using a variable. So having picked up the text, if the text has actually got something in it, let's just make sure there's no spaces involved. Then we can actually call the routine we're going to be doing. So we'll need a routine to actually speak. So we're going to do a simple call called funSpeak, and we want to pass it the text that we want it to speak. And then all we have to do is create the code. Now, in our speech API, there's a few things we'll want to set up. We will create a new function that's going to be doing the speaking. So we'll need some local variables in here, which we'll build up as we go. Now, one of the things we'll want to do is we're going to use some objects here, since we're going to be calling a COM object that Windows supplies. And let's do the first one as a dispatch variable. New COM object, and the COM object we're after is the speech API dot spVoice. Right, so having called a new COM object, we have to make sure it actually did instantiate as an object. So basically, if it didn't instantiate, then we quit straight away. Now, we'll also want to set up some variant variables, because we're going to be talking to a COM object, and they really seem to like variant variables. So we'll want to pick up a text. So we'll do a conversion on the fly to pick up a text. Then we want to pass a flag. We want to pass a flag to the COM object to say what it is we're actually doing. Now, these again will be variants. And we're going to set that constant up at the beginning of the program, because several of these routines we're going to write are going to be using these constants. But we'll set this one up here. Now the constants we're going to be using are basically an enumeration, and these come from the Windows API, so we'll just slot them on en masse. We may not be using all of these, but we'll have them all in here anyway. The one we're going to be using is this one, basically to read our text. So we'll pick that one, and we'll set our flag to be that. So, having set that up, we now want to make the call to actually speak the text. So we're calling our object, which we've already set up, to speak, and we're passing it the text we want it to speak, and also the way we want it to speak, using the flags. And we want to get back from that another variant, which is basically our result. And that should be it. Now, this isn't telling your computer which voice to use, just whatever's the general default one. Your computer will probably have 2 or more voices set up on it, and you can actually go into websites, both free and commercial, and pick up and install more voices. So let's try compiling this and see if it's going to compile cleanly. Yes, it is. So if we run that now, we should get a dialog up on screen, which we do. And let's just get rid of that. And we'll put some text in. And we'll hit the speak button.
Hello, how are you?
And there we have some speech.
I am fine, thank you.
Even better. So, what happens if we want to choose one of the other voices? Well, I think for that one what we want to do is we want to knit back to our dialog and we'll add something else. We want to basically enumerate what voices we have on the computer and basically give the user a list. So we're going to add another control here. Let's see, let's pick a combo box. And on this combo box, this will be our drop-down list of all the voices that exist on your computer, and let the user actually select one. And having selected that, we'll get the computer to speak with that specific voice. So let's put a wee bit of text at the top. And we'll just call that, please pick a voice. And since this is a combo box, we'll just call it CBO voices. And we'll just give that a nice bit of colour. No, not that one. Ah, that should have been a label. And the combo box. We'll call CBO voices. Right, okay. So now we've got somewhere to put the information. How do we populate it? Well, in our event handler, there is an initialization event at the top. Go back to that. There's an initialization event, and in our initialization event we want to actually set up that combo box. So how do we do that? Well, we'll set a variable up to contain the list. Let's call that voice list, and we're going to call that from a function, and we'll call it from get voices. And then we want to populate a combo box. Using our parse count. Now we'll delimit our voices with some character that's not going to appear in the name of the voice, like a pipe character. Always a good one to do. And then we'll use the combo box command to insert them. And that's the name of our combo. Let's fold this around so you can see it. I'm using the parse command to slice up the voice list based on the pipe character. Right, okay. Now we can use the insert or we can use the add. Should we use the add? I think the add might be cleaner. That way we'll get them automatically alphabetically done. Combo box, insert. Yes, we'll use the add instead rather than the insert. Yeah, it's quite a straightforward one. So we won't need the long R. We just need the insert, the handle, the name, the handle to the combo box, and the data we're after. So should be quite happy with that. All we have to do now is to create a new function called getVoices in our library that's going to perform that function. And it's going to return a string. Right, okay. Now, this is going to contain the list of voices, and it'll start off having nothing in it, and we're going to be creating a new dispatch object, so we'll put that one in just as we did in the previous. And we want to copy basically the same bit we did before to instantiate our new com object. And then the same test, of course. If we can't instantiate it, then we give up. So, first bit's done. Now we need to go through a collection of object tokens. Another variant. So this is going to return a collection of voices. And this is what we're going to cycle round. So again, we have to make sure so this is going to get the count of how many tokens we've actually got. In other words, how many voices we're going to be dealing with. And we'll set that as a local. And we will use the conversion function to convert that into something we can actually use. Variants are all very well, but they're not terribly efficient, and they're only really used for talking to COM objects within PowerBasic. So we're converting this value we get back from here into a number we can actually use quite easily. And then we're going to parse the collection. And let's set the counter variable up. Equal, starting from 0 to our long count, -1. Right, we'll want auto index variable. And again, this is yet another variant. Now we're going to get the item based on this index. If we're racking up the objects here. Now, just as we had tokens as a variant, we've now got token singular as a dispatch variable. So we now pick up the token number, and having got the token number, We'll then clean out the vres variable again. And now we're going to get the description. And again, here's another object call. And yet another test. Now we can now pick up the description, so we'll store that in a standard string variable using the variant $ to convert vres. So we'll create a string description up here. Right, having got that, we can then add to our voice list, which is the one we were starting off with. And we'll add description, plus we'll add on a pipe character to delimit them all. And a bit of tidy up at the end. And the same for the tokens list. Should be down here. And by the time we pop out of this, we'll want to trim off any trailing pipe pipe characters we've got in the end using the rtrim. And at the very end, the last thing we do is to return the str voice list as the return value of the function. Now, will that compile? No, it won't. What have we missed? Oh, tokens. Oh, that should have been dispatch. Oh, and we should have had any ampersand character there. What have we missed? What we missed? It doesn't like that at all. Oh yeah, we were changing that to add, weren't we? Right, okay, we're in. So having got that far, if we run it now, and on our drop down list, we have 3 voices. So this is the first stage. We can actually display all the voices we've got in this machine. The text at the moment will still pick the default one.
Hello.
What we want it to do is we want to create another function which still speaks, but it will speak in the voice which we pick, which is our next task. So if we want to speak with a selected voice, what we'll want to do is check first of all in the form, the dialog, to see that we have picked a combo box which is a drop down list and doesn't let the user key anything in, which is the standard drop down list. Pick that, we'll save that, and we'll go back to the dialog, and then in our event handler where we're calling the routine to speak, we'll want to get the value of the combo box, and we'll put it to there, to a variable called selected voice. So we'll just create that one up here. Now, rather than call the speak function, we'll leave the speak function alone because we might have uses for that later. We'll call a new function called speak with voice. And the parameter we'll pass will be the value that we've got from the combo box. So we're going to go back to our speech library and we're going to create a new function working much along the lines of the speak function. Taking a single parameter, which is the voice we want to use. Now we'll just paste in a pile of variables similar to the ones we did before when we were iterating through the types of voices we had stored in the system, and we want to do much the same kind of thing. Now I'm going to create a global variable called speaking, just so we can store the fact that the machine is actually speaking, because unlike many of the other functions you'll call, speaking can take a few seconds to actually finish whatever it is you've asked it to speak, and if you've given that a long paragraph then it could take quite a wee while. So we're going to create a global as a long, so we can test whether that's true or false. We'll set it to true as soon as we actually start speaking. So we'll set that to true now. And we want to get back a reference to the value we had before. Now this is very much similar to what we actually did before. So I'm just going to paste in that piece of text, that piece of code. That basically gets our reference. Now what this will do is it will do an object call to get voices. It will check to see how many tokens we've actually got. It will step through the tokens just as we did before. It will then pick up the description of the voice that we've picked up. And what we want to do is the value we've passed in, selected voice, and we'll put in there the voice. So we're comparing what we're getting back from the collection against the voice that's come in, and if we do actually find it, then we're storing the value in the token, and this value is what we're going to be using after we've got down here when we actually want to do the speaking. And we're using the vtext again. Now what we want to do here is, since we're actually speaking, we want to wait until this actually finishes. And then some tidying up. And then at the very end we can then change our global back to false. Now let's see if we've got that right. Have we missed anything? Let's go back, let's save it, let's compile it. And oh yes, yes. We need to pass in the string of what it is we want to speak. We forgot about that one. Yep, we didn't pass it in, so str text goes in here. So we have to pass two variables. One, the text we want to speak, and the second variable is the voice we want to speak with. Right, okay. So if we run this one now, so we pick a voice, and we'll pick, this is a voice I've installed on the system.
Hello, how are you?
which is a slightly better than an inbuilt ones. You can buy many different voices of different accents, and you can change it quite happily
Hello, how are you?
by picking from the drop-down list.
Hello, how are you?
Even better. So, now that we have multiple voices accessible in the system, the next logical thing to do is to get them to talk to each other. So we go back to our form again, and let's put another button on the screen. Now you could create buttons to do standard responses like hello, goodbye, can I help you, yes, no, which would be very useful. But just to show how flexible the system can be, let's just save that one. Now I've created an extra function here which I won't let you see it just yet, I'll let you hear it first. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go into a dialog, to the event handler, and we're going to put, see how we got the argument, we've got the argument in there. And what we're going to do in here is we're going to call our new function. Now we'll just do a quick compile on this to make sure we're okay, which we are. And then we run our dialog now. We have a button on the screen which is have an argument.
Welcome to our house.
What are you doing?
I'm talking to these people.
What for? You haven't done the washing up yet.
I can do that later. This is important.
You always say that and it never gets done.
But this is my job. It puts food on the table.
What table? We've still just got a virtual one. I want a real table.
Now you shouldn't start arguing.
And who is this? Where did she come from?
This is Anna. She is a Microsoft voice.
I don't want your virtual floozies in my house.
It's not a house, it's a laptop.
Or even in the laptop then. And that reminds me you have still to clean out the hard disk.
I'm waiting for better weather.
That's it, I'm going back to my motherboard.
And there you go. So we'll just briefly have a look at the have an argument. All we're doing in here is much like the code we did before. We're setting up our variables for the tokens. I've set up 3 tokens for each of the named voices we have on the system, and then once it makes sure all the tokens are actually set up, it's then running the text. So it's using the speak we did earlier. So welcome to our house, you're waiting till it's done, what are you doing? So this way you can quite easily build up a series of text so the machine would appear to be having a conversation, which works well. So you're setting the token to be the token of the one you want to do the speaking, and then doing the speaking. So I hope this has been entertaining for you. Thank you for watching.